Legend of Total War here, and today we've actually got two blogs to go over. The patch 6.2 blog for Total War Warhammer 3, and then after that we'll be doing the Total War 25th anniversary blog, which today is actually the 25th anniversary of Total War. So on the 13th of June 2000 is the day that Shogun 1 came out. So happy anniversary to Total War, I guess. But yeah, we'll get to that blog, which is going to be a bit spicy. Even though the blog itself is super tame, I've got some spiciness to spread around for that one. But we'll get to that eventually. So let's start with this one here. So patch 6.2 is coming next week by the look of it. Publish the full release notes as well as update itself. And it's going to be focused on extensive revisions to magic items and introduction of the AI improvements tested in the Proving Grounds. So as for this, I don't have that much to say about it, only I'll wait and see what it's like. We've heard about AI changes over the course of Total War Warhammer 3, and honestly, the AI hasn't really improved very much. The AI has gotten more cheats, but apart from them being better on the battle map and better on the campaign map, not really. So we'll see. Maybe this will be the one, but I really can't comment it based on that alone. But there's plenty to talk about in terms of the revisions to the magic items. Now, personally, I wish they'd focused on something else, because on my list of things that I think need to be prioritized for Total War Warhammer 3, magic items wasn't really in my top 100. At the top of my list, I would really like to see some improvements done to sieges. They're just awful, especially walled city sieges, just absolutely awful. They're the worst in any Total War games, in my opinion. And I'd also like to see some more faction reworks, because they've been really good so far. But maybe they just don't have the resources to focus on that. But, the Kislev rework was great. I've liked pretty much every single rework they've done for Total War Warhammer 3, with the exception of the Greenskin one, which was more of an update than anything. I just wasn't a big fan of it. But overall, I think the reworks have landed pretty well. But yeah, I think there's other things that are a bigger gripe on people's lists than a couple of the magic items being a bit crap. But anyway, the changes that they're making to the magic items is definitely good. I just wasn't my top priority. But anyway, let's go through this stuff here, and there's a lot to go through. I'm not going to read everything word for word, and I will leave all the links in the description for every resource that I use in this video. But yeah, I don't see the point of just reading this out word for word. So first thing I want to look at is some of the changes they're showing here for existing items. Now, this is not all of the items that are going to be changed, just giving us an example. But I really like what they've done here, because they haven't just given a straight up buff. Like, we're not seeing spell resistance from 10% to 15%. Instead, what we're seeing is like additional effects on these otherwise, to some degree, useless items. Not that the Scroll of Stone was useless, that's always been fairly good, but now it's kind of way more useful in a wider area, while also not being in any way overpowered, because this here gives, I'm assuming, Siege Attacker to the character they attach it to. So this will be very useful for something like the Vampire accounts, which sort of has a very few number of siege attackers and no artillery, and so having this attached to a character so they can actually siege attack can be really useful. So that gives that item a bit of extra strategic depth to it. Same thing was over here, like didn't really improve the stats, but just giving it vigor loss reduction, but also including flaming attacks, which will make it less effective in some situations. So that in many cases will be a negative. And then Everbleed. Instead of having Everbleed, which just imbued poison, I don't know why they just didn't have poison. It seems redundant. Now they've got Disemboweled effect, draining hit points, including fear and terror. So yeah, just providing additional effects on these items, and also seemingly changing that one from being a grey item to a blue item. So some items that were ranked too highly are now going to be ranked lower, and some items that were ranked lower are going to be ranked high, because they've changed the way that they're going to be ranked based on a rating system. And I'm sure there's probably some tweaking that needs to be done. Some stats might be prioritized higher than others. Another thing that I was a bit worried about prior to actually seeing these things here was I thought they were just going to go around and like nerf all the items. Now, if you remember, the Talisman of Preservation originally had 20% ward save back in like Warhammer 1, and then it went down to 18 and 17, and I think now it's at 16. And I thought, okay, this is the patch where they're going to bring it down to 15%. But who knows, maybe the Talisman of Preservation will have additional effects on it now, and also be at 15%. Who knows, we'll see. But overall, I like these changes. And they've also changed the way that items are going to be dropped. The overall item drop chance is going to be dropped slightly. So you'll still get items dropping, just not as frequently. But the items that should drop should be better, basically. And you should get a wider variety of them. I mean, how many of us have reached like turn 20 in a campaign and have got 3 Crown of Commands by that point? Like, how fucking annoying is that? But that basically shouldn't happen anymore because, based on the explanations given here, items currently have like a true random drop chance. So the same one can just get dropped over and over again, and you might go an entire campaign and not get a single potion of healing. But now what will happen is that you are more likely to obtain an item if you've never obtained it. So by turn 100, you should have a wider variety of items than you did previously. But also, you definitely can still get items that have already dropped. It's just that items, the game will sort of take into consideration which items you're using and which ones you're not using. So for example, if you have a Crown of Command and you just leave it in your inventory, the game will be like, okay, well, you clearly don't want that item. The drop chance of that will be lowered based on what they're explaining here. So instead of just equipping it just for the sake of it on a random character, it's better to unequip the items that you really don't want to see dropped so that they just don't drop. You can actually you're training the game to like drop specific items, sort of. So I kind of like that. I don't imagine it's going to be exploitable in any way just because there's such a huge variety of items. But what it will probably do is just allow me to just stop getting more bloody Crown of Commands and Trickster's Shards because they're both fucking useless for the most part. So yeah, that's a really good way of going. It's like adding a bit more complexity and a bit more thought into it. So that's good. They're also changing the way that fusing works just a little bit, making it, in my opinion, better. So currently the way fusing works, which I think is perfectly fine, this didn't need to be changed, but making a system that didn't need to be changed a bit better, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you take 2 grey items of the same category, so that being like 2 grey armors, and you fuse them, and it turns into a green item. And that green item could be a talisman, or it could be an enchanted item, or it could be an armor. But now, of the same category, if you fuse them, it's going to remain in that category. So 2 grey armors will turn into a green armor. And then 2 green armors will turn into a blue armor. And so you can guarantee that at least you're going to get the same category out of it. And then on top of that, you are now able to fuse blue items to potentially get a purple item. See, previously you could fuse, currently you can fuse 2 blue items and you just randomly get a different blue item. In fact, I've actually like fused 2 shit items before and gotten 1 of the exact same shit items. Just essentially just lost a blue item. Just didn't roll right. But that's the luck of the draw with fusing, I guess. But yeah, now what happens, you have a small chance of fusing the blue items and getting a purple item, or if it doesn't turn into a purple item, it turns into basically a useless item where it's you can't even equip it. All you can do is like dismantle it, or you just sell it in your inventory, for like 50 gold or whatever. I don't know how much. So yeah, it's high risk, high reward with that, because that could be a way of you're really late in the campaign, you haven't yet dropped the Helm of Draysky, and be like, damn it, why haven't I dropped the Helm of Draysky? Well, I got 20 of these useless blue items that I don't use. I'll just fuse a bunch of them, and lo and behold, there you go, Helm of Draysky. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you have to fuse 2 blue armors in order to get the Helm of Draysky. I don't know. Who knows how it's going to work. But overall, I like that change. It's especially going to benefit the dwarfs because the dwarfs can craft specific crap items that you can use to... Let's just say you want to get a Armor of Destiny, which they can't fuse, and you just fuse a whole bunch of shitty grey armors and then just keep fusing them together until you eventually get a whole bunch of blue armors, and eventually one of them should be the Helm of... Trickster's Helm or... Armor of Destiny. And by removing the chances of the other items from showing up, it just means that you'll have to fuse fewer of them in order to get that Armor of Destiny. Or if you really want to cheese, you'll have to save scum less, basically. Okay, so that's good. I like all that stuff. And then they're also adding in some new items, so some new unique items, so purple ones. Wormslayer's Sword, Scintillating Shield, Accursed Armor, which looks like it's got a positive and a negative. What those actually are, we'll have to wait and see. Briar Sheath, the Fellblade. The Fellblade is currently in the game, but it's a blue item. It's not really that good. So apparently it's getting a big buff, but it's also coming with a massive debuff. What that's going to be, I'm not entirely sure, but that makes sense. I mean, this is the blade that killed Nagash. It should have a drawback for sure for being that powerful. I don't think it's as powerful as the Sword of Cain, but really that's supposed to be like the most powerful sword, but whatever. And then they've got this one here, which I thought was really interesting because what they've done is essentially copied the Tomb King main campaign mechanic of the Books of Nagash and basically given it to everyone, except it's the 8 burning books of corn. Except these 8 books are actually 4 items, because each item consists of 2 books. And I guess they've done that just to not make this quest too grindy. But basically, throughout your campaign, you just play it, and then eventually, maybe, you'll find one of the books, well, 2 of the books, I guess, as one item. And then you'll get a dilemma, whether or not to take up the quest to get the other burning books of corn, or to discard it. If you discard it, well, that's probably the end of it. We've seen this sort of stuff with like the Nemesis crown. You discard it, you get some benefits for doing so, that temporarily, or you equip it and it comes with some penalties, but you become significantly more powerful. So the more of these books that you get, the more powerful you become, but it also causes some drawbacks. And then once you get all of them, you can combine them into the single tome or whatever. And what that does, I'm not entirely sure. But it seems as though Cornate factions are going to get the best benefit out of it, but we don't really know until it's actually implemented into the game. But what I think is really good about this, probably the most impressive part of this update, is that it adds some missions to your campaign, especially if you're like in the later stages of the campaign, so it doesn't feel so fucking tedious. I mean, how many of us get fatigued on these campaigns very early? And so if you've got something to do that's maybe a little bit more challenging, that you can optionally choose to do, because you're a bit bored of just smashing down on the AI because you've already got 100 settlements sort of thing, this could be something to keep people invested in their campaigns a little bit longer. So I think that this is actually a really good idea. I like what they've done with this. And then on top of that, we've got the 2 new units, which aren't really new units, just units that existed for other factions. Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower and Blood Knight Sword and Shield, which were the Skulls event free DLC, essentially. Now, anything that we get for free, it's great. I don't really care about new units, but some people do. That's fine. But in terms of what I consider to be the highest value, top priority would be getting a new Legendary Lord, then getting, next priority, Legendary Heroes, which is what we've got in previous Skulls events. So we had Karanak last year and Harold Hammerstorm the year before, both of which good Legendary Heroes. And then at the very bottom, I would put units. So that means that next like Skulls event, so 2026, we'll be getting a new purple item as FLC. So who knows? Something that's not really a huge amount of value, and only one faction will be able to pick it up. Whichever faction is being least played, who knows? I'm just joking. But anyway, that's the extent of the patch notes. I don't have any negative to say about it. It's just it's not what I want them to be focusing on, but I don't get to choose that. So honestly, these are great, but reworks are better, and I'd really love to see some updates to the sieges. Okay, now let's move on to the spicy section, which is the 25th anniversary celebration blog. Now, you'd probably look over this and think, how the hell is this going to be spicy? There's nothing in this that's bad. But here's the thing. I've been around for a long time, and the executives with Creative Assembly, right? They're just so full of shit, basically. They're just so obviously full of shit. And I think this is the thing, they have so little respect for the audience, or the people that buy their games, that they kind of expect to just get away with this every single time. But basically, this blog, which I'll go through it, I'm actually going to read out every word of it. It has quite a lot of inconsistencies and things that are just incorrect. And the thing is, it's clearly been written as a tone, basically. None of the substance there is no substance. It's all words, no substance, and it means fucking nothing, basically, because none of this can be taken as genuine words. It just means nothing. But anyway, I'll go through and explain it. But basically, the thing is signed by Roger Cullum, but honestly, I don't know if he actually did write this. I have no idea, because obviously I've got a very cynical opinion of the Creative Assembly leadership. It's hard not to, given everything that they've done over the past few years. And I don't know Roger Cullum, or have met him, or even know what he looks like in person. He might be a really nice guy. But the way that the leadership team has behaved is appalling. And they did an apology back in 2023, and many people accepted that apology. And they've done some really good pro-consumer changes, which is, step in the right direction for sure. But one thing that has always really bothered me about Creative Assembly with their leadership team especially, is the phony faces they put up in front of the community. And I gotta wonder how many of you guys, please say none, actually fall for this shit. Like, after everything that you've seen, like, does the Total War leadership team really think that people in this community are so fucking stupid as to swallow this unbelievable load of nothingness horse shit? That's what I just don't understand. So what I suspect is that this wasn't actually written by Roger Cullum. This was probably written by an intern, and he just signed it after reading it, because there's like, some of the stuff is so easily fact-checked, like it's wrong. It's just like, I don't expect an intern to know this stuff, but I would kind of expect the vice president of the company to know some of this stuff, unless that vice president hasn't been around for very long, in which case some of this stuff comes across as really fucking disingenuous. So let's start going through it, and I'm going to dismantle a lot of the stuff. But overall, the overall message in here is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, it's the lack of knowledge of their own franchise and this like fake fucking facade that they put up that is, if you've been around for any amount of time, you could just see straight through it. I don't know why they keep doing this. They've done this so many times where they just put up this like fake facade, like, oh, it's good news, guys, where are your friends? And it's just so obviously not. It's just not true. But anyway, let's get into this. So he says, hey, Total War fans, 25 years ago, in a small one-room office just down the road from where I write this message, Total War was born. The vision was rooted in a love for both history and strategy gaming, with the aim of seamlessly mixing the best parts of grand strategy and real-time tactical battles in a single experience where you truly felt like the commander of a vast empire. Okay, so let's start with this bit here. This huge pile of shit, all right? There's nothing wrong with the words, right? But it's just not true. And the thing is, how would Roger Cullum know? Because he wasn't there. In fact, nobody who works at Creative Assembly 25 years ago is there today. So how the fuck do you know any of this stuff? Well, do you know what? You can actually fact check this, because the people who were there 25 years ago, who were there at the start of Creative Assembly 40 years ago, in 1987 when it started, the people that were porting the games over, oh man, I can't even remember. But yeah, originally Creative Assembly was just basically doing what Feral Interactive does now for Creative Assembly, just ports the game over. They actually had an interview about 12 years ago where they actually explained what their motivations and why they decided to make Shogun Total War. And this is in conflict with it. It doesn't, and the thing is, that came out from their own mouth. And this is coming from Roger Cullum's mouth, who, he could be at the company for like 1 year, 2 years, I have no idea. And it shows, because this isn't the only inconsistency. But anyway, in that video, which I might pause the video in a moment, see if I can find it. It's very hard to, last time I looked, it was very hard to find. Other videos are a lot easier to find. Basically, the interview with the original creators of Total War, explaining that what they originally did was they wanted to make a strategy game because everybody was making strategy games. It was not rooted in a love for both history or strategy gaming or whatever. It was basically just, because in the early 90s, or just in the 90s in general, was like the big boom of strategy games like Command & Conquer, Age of Empires, all these games, right? And they wanted to make their own sort of cheap Command & Conquer clone. And it started that way, and then it eventually evolved into what was Shogun Total War. And the thing is, that is honestly a really cool story. But that's not what you wrote here. And you know why? Because you weren't fucking there, and you're talking about something that you weren't there on behalf of people that aren't there. So I don't know why they do this shit. They just make up crap and just hope that nobody fact checks them. But the thing is, there are still a handful of people that have been around that long who have actually heard what Mike Simpson, and I think it's Tim Ansel. There's been 2 Tims at Creative Assembly. One of them's the founder of Creative Assembly, and one of them's not. And I don't know if it's Tim Ansel or the other Tim. I just can't remember. But it's a Tim. But I know Mike Simpson was definitely one of them. I think this here is Mike Simpson. Again, not 100% sure with that. But yeah, I might just pause the recording, see if I can find that video so that you guys can watch it yourself. But just give me a moment. Okay, I found it, and I will leave a link to this in the description. And this bit here, it was actually Tim Ansel, that is the founder of Creative Assembly. This bit here, so this interview, it's on NoClip, their channel. So I feel like it's older than 2020. because this was around Alien Isolation time, so it was a long time ago now. But anyway, this was the interview that I was talking about, and so I want to play this bit here, which he's talking about, and this flies in the face of a lot of what is going to be read out in this blog. Again, with the leadership team, they don't expect to get fact checked. But anyway, let's obviously it's a very long video, like 53 minutes, but I will leave a link to it. And I'm pretty sure at some point in this video here, they do talk about how they came up with like Shogun 1. Maybe Roger Cullum should maybe fucking watch this video. It might have actually helped him a little bit. But anyway, let's watch this little bit here about Tim Ansell, and let's see what he has to say.
What do you think of Creative Assembly now? Do you follow the work much, or do you have any sort of feelings about, I visited there a few weeks ago, and it's one of the biggest employers in the UK games industry, and it started out of your spare bedroom. What does it feel like looking at a company that's now that's grown to such a size, and it started with you?
Well, it's obviously a fact that fills me with immense pride, but it's kind of weird because, I guess we haven't been in contact, and it almost feels like kind of two separate lives for me, really. It kind of feels like I died and was reborn, so it's almost quite hard for me to connect that was actually even me. Funny, I actually often find it a bit upsetting playing the Total War games. It just kind of brings all of that stuff back, and I kind of prefer just to focus on what I got rather than what I haven't.
Have you managed to speak to some of those people in the years since?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, partly, I literally never went back in the office. All my stuff was literally left there, and subsequently, I believe, put in a box, and I never even collected that, so I literally have not set foot in the office since that day. It just felt too awkward for me to do so. And strangely, they never contacted me for anything. So, for instance, even when they had things like their 25 or 30 year anniversaries, nobody thought that I might.
25 or 30 year anniversary. Now, of course, he's talking about the actual studio's 25th anniversary, which is separate from Total War, because Creative Assembly is actually 40 years old. It's 50. Was it? Yeah, because it was founded in 1987, I believe. So the 25th anniversary of Creative Assembly would have happened at this point, but not the 25th anniversary of Total War. But yeah, now obviously this video is probably more than 10 years old, so it's quite possible that maybe they're actually going to have Tim Ansell involved in this particular one. Not entirely sure. But interesting what he said back then. Again, I will leave a link to that in the description if you want to watch the whole thing. Highly recommend. It's a very interesting video. But yeah, basically, I don't think Roger Cullum watched that video because it just makes it that bit's not really true. Anyway, let's move on. During those early years of Total War's identity formed, the team were focused on authentic recreations of the most pivotal moments in human history, from the age of antiquity through to the emergence of the great naval empires. As the genre evolved and our teams changed, or more like replaced, we have expanded into new territory by leaping into the fantastical, meticulously recreating Games Workshop iconic Warhammer world as a truly unique strategy experience. Yep, true, but Total War Warhammer is basically a Rome 2 reskin, so, it had technical debt right from the get-go. So, I don't know, you're glazing yourself a little bit too much there with that. I mean, considering the amount of work that's gone into Total War Warhammer 3, or just Total War Warhammer in general, they probably would have really benefited from having a better foundation to begin with, because I think a lot of the problems that we're suffering from now are because it's built off the back of Rome 2, essentially. But anyway, there have been triumphs and tribulations throughout the years, and we're honoured and humbled to be one of the few video game franchises that get the chance to elaborate such a huge milestone. Without your support, this would have never been possible. So a massive thank you from all of us on this special day. Okay, I want to make something here real bloody clear, that you really should be humbled. And you should be humbled because of hyenas. Because, I'm sure many of you guys understand how businesses work. If a business incurs an expense, that expense is passed on to the customer. That's how you can't make a profit unless you do that, right? And so if you incur $100 million expense that shows no profit whatsoever because nobody buys it because you don't sell it, that money has to be generated somewhere, because I've explained this before. So how is that cost going to be passed on to the consumer? Well, I mean, they can't really make a Hyenas 2. I mean, maybe that cost will be put on to Alien Isolation 2, maybe, but it's most likely that their most profitable franchise, well, costs are up. So I just want to point out, and I think it's important that we keep pointing this out, and we don't ever let them forget, because it was such a massive cock-up, that $100 million hole is something that other companies, bigger companies in Creative Assembly, made smaller mistakes and were shut down because of it. And you are lucky as fuck that Sega showed you any mercy, because if you had been owned by EA, for example, they would have just liquidated the entire company. That's what I think, because that is such a gigantic fuck up with Hyenas. And that's not even to mention the Total War fuck ups, which are nowhere near on the same magnitude. But again, invested $100 million into a game that nobody wanted. That $100 million, could have been invested into a fucking new engine for Total War. So, don't let them forget about that, because if you're ever sitting there playing Warhammer 3 or whatever comes next and think to yourself, man, this engine sucks, just remember they fucking thought that Hyenas was a good idea. Anyway, so all this stuff here without your support. Look, here's the thing. Nobody supports companies. If they make a product that's good, people buy it. Nobody's fucking supporting you. If you continue to make products that people like, people will buy it. That's not supporting you. Okay, so I get it. It's positive. You want to. It's a positive way of putting on it, but I kind of just want it to be a bit more clear. Also, with this image. Again, not much fact checking is done here. Early 2000s at the old Southwater, where games from Shogun to Medieval 2 were developed. Well, somebody doesn't know the history of Total War, because Medieval 2 was developed in Australia, not in Southwater. So we can easily prove this. Let me just bring this up real quick. So, again, this one's really easy to find. You just search Medieval 2 Total or Kingdoms Britannia trailer. And this isn't on the Total War channel, but I remember 18 years ago watching this, getting hyped up for Medieval 2, because I already had Medieval 2. This is for the Kingdoms expansion. And watching these trailers, I don't even know if I was watching it on YouTube, because it would have been a new thing back then. It's so old. But anyway, obviously super high quality. But let's just listen to this for just a few moments.
Hey there, I'm Dan Toots, the designer from the Creative Assembly, and I'm going to be taking you through a video preview of the Britannia campaign.
Okay, so do you notice a similarity between my voice and his? Yeah, because we've got the same fucking accent, because we're both from Queensland, we're both Australian. So if we, hang on one sec, let me just grab, if I just grab this up over here, the Wikipedia page. So a simple Google search, if you don't know your own company's history, Medieval 2 was a strategy game developed by the since disbanded Australian branch of the Creative Assembly, published by Sega. So it wasn't actually done there. It just doesn't fucking know. Like, I don't mind that they get things wrong or anything like that, but he doesn't fucking know his own history. This is really freaking basic stuff about Creative Assembly's history. What this proves is that he doesn't know shit about Total War. He doesn't know a fucking thing. And he's the vice president of the fucking company. He doesn't know anything about it, right? So basically, the history of why Medieval 2 was made in Australia, it's the Australian branch of Creative Assembly was essentially like the CA Sophia of that time, before CA Sophia, that is. So all the main games were made in England, and they made Rome 1. Now, Rome 1 was phenomenal, but the budget was overblown, and they had some issues, basically. They got bought by Sega, and Sega commissioned them, the Creative Assembly Brisbane, to basically reskin Rome 1 as Medieval 2, which nothing wrong with that. I don't think anyone who plays Medieval 2 and Rome 1 will be able to go, oh, what? They're actually the same game in terms of the bones of it. Yeah, big surprise. They function exactly the same. But anyway, it's still a great game. But basically Medieval 2 was essentially Total War Pharaoh back then. It's just a reskin of Troy. Nothing wrong with it as long as the bones are good. But anyway, it was made in Australia while they were working on Empire Total War. That's how they were able to make Empire Total War only like a couple of years after Medieval 2 came out, is because it was being developed on simultaneously. Because Medieval 2 didn't take as long because it wasn't being made from scratch. Like Empire Total War had for the most part, a new engine, the Warscape engine, one that we know and love to this day. 16 years on, whatever it's been. But yeah, this is why I was saying in terms of like remastering these games, it's much easier much quicker to get a reskin done than it is to a whole new game, which is why I made the point for Medieval 2 Remastered. Moot point now, but anyway. But yeah, some simple fact checking. Easily found that out. Again, it doesn't matter that he got that wrong. The point is he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Doesn't know the history of. He's talking about the history of Total War and doesn't fucking know about the history of Total War. Or this was written by an intern who doesn't fucking know the history of Total War, and you wouldn't expect them to know. But he signed his fucking name on it, so it might as. If you didn't know, he didn't pick up on it. I picked up on it straight away, and I'm sure many of you guys did as well. Anyway, so some of you may remember from my updates last year. That we had plans to celebrate this anniversary in a meaningful way. Our teams are hard at work fine-tuning a program of content that not only shines a light on past games, but that builds on the foundations for us to begin revealing what we have planned for the future of Total War. Future of Total War? Come on, man. It's like you know nothing about the Total War community. Come on, you can't say that. Oh my god, I haven't checked the Reddit yet. I bet they're memeing on this. Oh my god, the future of Total War. You can't put those words together like that. After what happened with Three Kingdoms, you're not allowed to use the word future ever again. That's the rules. Because, just in case you don't know, when they were going to can Total War Three Kingdoms before they had really finished it, the video was called The Future of Total War Three Kingdoms. They've since renamed the video, so unless I take a time machine back and have a look at it, I can't really prove that. But many of you guys, it wasn't that long ago, it was like 2020, 2021, something like that. But yeah, it was called The Future of Total War, Future of Total War Three Kingdoms. So the title was total clickbait, drew people in, oh yeah, what's happening for Total War Three Kingdoms? And in that video, they're just like, oh well, it's the end of Total War Three Kingdoms. So it's been a meme ever since that. The future of Total War Three Kingdoms, there is no future of Three Kingdoms. And since then, anytime a Total War game has been like cancelled or just like stopped in development, no more DLC or anything, it's been futured of Troy, future of Total War Warhammer 2, future of Total War Pharaoh, and soon to be probably future of Warhammer 3, right? So unless he's doing it deliberately, expecting people to, like, it's going to get memed on, I don't think Roger Cullum reads the forums at all. I don't think he pays any attention to the community whatsoever, because he would have known that otherwise. The future of Three Kingdoms was not that long ago. And yes, this means the reveal of new games and content. And don't they have people at Creative Assembly that can advise them that that's not a good idea? Don't they have people to be like, yeah, you probably shouldn't put that in there. That's a meme. That's incorrect. That's a meme. Because we all fucking know this shit. Like, do they have no one that they can check this stuff with? I don't know. And yes, that means reveal new games and content. So plural there, so maybe multiple games. Alien Isolation 2 and 40k. Maybe Medieval 3. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So 25 years of Total War will begin with a look back at our legacy. Taking place from August until the end of November, we'll journey through each series that has been released since 2000. Expect content like retrospective video interviews. I wonder if they'll do one with Tim Ansell for that. Just, get another one just like I just showed you, and he'll actually be involved with that. That'll be really good if you could actually get in contact with him, because I haven't heard anything about that, and he said in that video that they didn't contact him for the anniversary of Creative Assembly. So yeah, that'd be really interesting if he was being interviewed here. I think that'd be really good to see that, actually, and it's quite possible that they actually don't have that planned. But they got a bit of time now, and I'm just giving them an idea, so fucking contact him, because it'll be a fucking good idea to contact the guy that founded the damn company and actually have him say something nice about you. That would be a good idea, but see how we go. Developer live streams and sales across our entire catalog, as well as fantasy and historical multiplayer tournaments. We also want to make this a celebration you can get involved in, so we'll be hosting giveaway competitions, inviting you to ask questions of our developers, as well as spotlighting your favorite mods and content creators who have helped make the Total War community what it is today. Okay, cool. All of this sounds great, right? Really good stuff here. But you know what the funny thing here is that Creative Assembly used to just do this all the time anyway. They basically, bit by bit, stopped doing this stuff up until recently, where they do none of this anymore, except for sales across our entire catalog. It's like we've already had 4 or 5 sales across the entire catalog so far. So yeah, that's nothing new, because they don't lower the base price. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, back in 2015 and 16, they actually had these things called the Mod Awards. where pretty much Divide et Impera won every year, but that was at the time the most popular mod. And also Shunning Darth mod. And they used to do interviews with the developers all the time. Most of the time with that sort of stuff, it'd be like asking anything about what's coming, they'd answer with, we can't talk about that. The only thing they could ever answer is things that you could find yourself in the game anyway. So I always found them to be completely pointless interviews, but we'll see how we go with it. They used to do giveaway competitions. In fact, I've won a giveaway DLC before. A DLC for Total War Tiller. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I was at their Twitch thing. They had Twitch live stream, and I got one of the DLCs. So I actually won one. The funny thing was, is I also got early access for that DLC, so they actually provided me a key anyway, which I was able to provide that key to a viewer. So that was just fun at the time. But yeah, they used to do that stuff all the time. I think they still do give away keys to give away through other people. I don't know, but yeah, that's nothing new, I think. Fantasy and historical multiplayer tournaments. Well, they have the Ever Chosen tournament, but I don't think they've hosted a historical tournament in a while. If you're going to do a historical multiplayer tournament, Total War Tiller. That's the best one for it, hands down. I'm not going to get involved, but Total War Tiller will give you the best results out of it's the best game for multiplayer out of all the historical Total War games, in my opinion. Anyway. Developer live streams. Yeah, they used to do this all the time as well, like with Tom and Wheels. I used to love their live streams. I don't know if either of them worked. I know that Wheels doesn't. But yeah, it'd be great when Tom and Wheels would get on, play the game and call Archwarhammer a dickhead. That was great. No, I'm joking about that last bit there. That was just a once-off, and that was when Wheels quit. That was a classic moment. I wonder if that's in the internet somewhere. And obviously he shouldn't have done that, and Creative Assembly did apologize for it, but it's just funny. But what I'm trying to point out is that they were fun. That was the big thing here. They were fun, and then it stopped, and then why? Why did it stop? It was fun. Like those were good times. Nobody had any problem with Tom and Wheels, except maybe Archwarhammer. It's fine. But why did they stop? And the thing is, what he's saying here is that it's only happening between August and November. If this is a bigger company than it was back then, why are these things that they used to do to interact with the community? All of this stuff just used to be part of what Creative Assembly would do to interact with the community, and it was great. And now they do they do very little of it. I wouldn't say none of it. And also in terms of the content creators, any sort of spotlights to do on them, this is what I would recommend, is that nobody should get a spotlight if they have over 100,000 subscribers, because nobody over 100,000 subscribers fucking needs it. It's pointless. Okay? I don't need it. None of the other ones that have 100,000 subscribers need a spotlight, because the algorithm already picks up their videos. Everyone's already aware of what they do. The people who need spotlights are the people who the algorithm aren't picking up, aren't covering the newest Total War games. So, for example, Joe, on it as an example, people who are covering Rome 2, exclusively the older games, those are where the spotlights should be going to, because every single time that there is a DLC, the inner circle always gets shout outs anyway, just because the algorithm just feeds out their content whenever they got early access. So if it's just the same people that have more than 100,000 subscribers that will be getting the content creator shout outs, then this is fucking worthless. All they're doing is just shouting out people that are basically just extensions of their own advertising, which basically turns this into a marketing ploy. So again, if you want this to be about Total War community, spotlight the people that are playing your games that are old, that don't have a huge fan base. That's the way to go about it. Anyone with 100,000 subscribers should not be whinging that they don't get a spotlight. You don't fucking need it. That's what I think. Because you get plenty of boosting during early access time. Even people who don't get early access get plenty of boosting during it. Anyway, so beyond celebrating the past, we plan on welcoming the future. Oh my god, the future of Total War in a big way. That's strike 2, dude. Strike 2. One more strike, you're out. Future of Total War in a big way. Behind the scenes, we're in the early stages of producing the Total War 25th Anniversary Showcase, the first video presentation of its kind in our history. Taking place in early December, this show will unveil the new games that you can expect to play in the near and distant future, as well as introduce you to the development teams making them. We'll have more details to share as we approach the end of the year, but whether you're a fantasy or history fan, there'll be plenty to enjoy. So they're kind of doing their own little E3 little presentation. Obviously, it's not going to be particularly long. I mean, how many games are they going to present? I would imagine at most 3. Like, whatever game's coming out next year, which I'm going to assume is Warhammer 40k Total War. Safe bet, but might not be. And then I'm also going to assume Medieval 3, as in distant future, as in probably 2027 or 2028. What else are they going to announce? Alien Isolation 2? I mean, that's not Total War, but still. I don't know. Who knows? They've never announced anything like more than a year in advance. Like, we all knew that they were working on Warhammer 3 pretty much right after Warhammer 2 was over, but they didn't announce it until friggin' 2021, beginning of it. And most games have a few months before it comes out. They don't do what Bethesda does and announce a game and then make it 10 years later, like Elder Scrolls 6. Are we going to get Medieval 3 before Elder Scrolls 6? We'll find out. I doubt it, but we'll see. But yeah, interesting. Alongside all this activity will be more Total War Warhammer 3 content. More? You mean on top of this, or is this what you're talking about? This isn't particularly clear. Patch 6.2 arrives next week with a focus on magical items. The forthcoming Tides of Torment DLC will reveal its final playable faction in July. Didn't they say that this would be June? In like the previous... Didn't they say they were going to do one of those videos in June? So I'm pretty sure that was the case. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. I don't really care if they've delayed it. I don't think it's that big deal. But yeah, if this is being revealed in July, then it seems as though the DLC would be August or September. Well, they did say it would be coming in summer, so that would exclude September. So yeah, August 30 at 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds. That's when Tides of Torment DLC will be released, and it'll be super buggy and stuff. I don't know. Look, I just hope it's good. Way more hoping for a Thrones of Delay type situation, Thrones of Decay, as opposed to Shadows of Shit, like Shadows of Change. Please be more along the lines of that level of quality, not Shadows of Change. Anyway, and some long-awaited content will be unveiled at the Anniversary Showcase. So, long-awaited content will be unveiled. So, they're probably going to reveal some Legendary Lords that... I mean, I'm just speculating here, that we've been asking for ages, like Boris Todbringer, Nagash, Thanquol, as examples. Probably... You know what they could be doing here? They could be announcing the End Times DLC during this December. I'm assuming that's what it's going to be. Maybe, I don't know. It's incredible to think the series is now in its 9th year, and we look forward to sharing what we have planned for the future. There is no future. Oh, you know, that's interesting. What if the future of Total War Warhammer 3 is the End Times? That's actually an interesting way of like playing on a meme. Well, imagine if that was actually intentional. I doubt it. but yeah, who knows? We'll have to see how it actually plays out. So it'll be like, the future of Total War Warhammer 3 is that there is no future of Warhammer 3 because the End Times happens. That would be like an interesting way to actually go about it, while also kind of making fun of themselves, which Creative Assembly would never fucking do. So interesting if they actually do that. I don't think they will, but it'd be interesting. So what's especially important to me this year is celebrating everyone who has made Total War what it is today. So this is the stuff that is like probably just like put his hand into a jar filled with boilerplate PR messages and just pulled one out of a hat and goes, we'll go with this one. Because like, as if you give a shit about this. This includes all of you reading this message who have helped create the best community in gaming. Oh, cringe. Whether you're playing our games for thousands of hours, watching our trailers, submitting bug feedback, or commenting on our socials, all of this has helped us build a game we all love. Okay. Yeah. I guess don't forget to thank all the people on the Steam forums that you fucking torched in 2023. You know, commenting on your socials. Oh my god, you guys have been some of the most thin-skinned people when it comes to this kind of stuff. So this comes across as super disingenuous. Like maybe that is the case now that you are actually listening to feedback, but it still comes across as kind of disingenuous, because the only reason they're acting this way is because of how badly they got called out. They embarrassed themselves in front of the entire gaming community by like torching the Steam forums of a mild criticism, and some degree of posts that were definitely warranted. There's always going to be some degrees of that. And, false DMCA striking people on content that wasn't even theirs to begin. It wasn't even their IP, so the false DMCA striking, and then of course just putting it all under the table, just try to make it all go away, pretend like it never happens. So like this whole thing here, like I said, I don't care if this is or isn't the case. I know it's not the case when it comes to the leadership team. They don't give a fuck about us, right? We are an open wallet to them, and they think that by saying this kind of stuff, we will open our wallet a little bit more to them. That's the whole point of doing this stuff here. Or they're trying to just try to slowly brush away the stain of 2023. But as I've said before, it's really important, and again, it's entirely up to you if you want to do this stuff, but you keep reminding them I'm just going to keep reminding them. Don't forgive them for that, because they haven't made amends. They've really shown no real sort of remorse, apart from the fact that they lost half the company essentially, because they don't go out and make amends, at all. There's so many cases, so many people that they've burned along the way, including the founder of Creative Assembly, which maybe they'll actually do something about it with that, maybe. So this just comes across as phony. It comes across as all words, no substance. And that is typical of Creative Assembly, because they never do what they're going to say they're going to do. They say something and just hope people believe them without providing any backup or evidence whatsoever. So this doesn't fly with me at all. I don't accept this for a second. I would respect them a lot more if they would just be honest with you. Like, let's be real. Roger Cullum or any of the other executives, I hate to specifically pick on Roger. Like I said, he might be a really nice guy. But he doesn't fucking care about Total War. He could be the vice president of fucking some bloody cereal company and would say the exact same thing. He probably wouldn't eat that cereal or whatever. Doesn't give a shit about the product. Only cares about the sales of it, like how much money it makes. That's fine. That's your job. You don't have to be a fan of Total War. But so this is just such phony, especially when you don't know basic history of the Total War franchise and you're just making shit up. And again, part of me thinks that this isn't even written by him. He probably just stamped his thing on it. And then here's another thing. Like, if you are if you're one of us, a fan of Total War. So where are you, Roger Cullum, in this photo? So 2016 launch of Total Warhammer. Where are you? I don't know what you look like, but just point it out to me. Where's Roger Cullum? Where's Gareth Edmondson? Where is Rob Bartholomew by any chance? Oh, he's gone anyway. Where are the executives? Over here. Where are the executives? This is 2013. I don't know. Maybe it's this guy. I don't know. Which one is they? And where are the executives here? Oh, wait, that is them. That's Mike Simpson there. And, oh, man, which one's Tim Ansell? It's hard to tell. Is that him? It's like 20 odd years earlier. But that's definitely Mike Simpson there. So where are the executives in these photos here? That's what I'd like to know. Where are they? This is the most recent one, 2023. Where are they here, perchance? So where? I don't think they're there, because they don't put their face in amongst them. They're separate to us. They're in their ivory tower, and it's really important that you don't get seduced by this shit messaging, because it serves a purpose. They want you to think that the leadership team, that they're one of you. They're one of you guys. They're a fan of the game. Don't you know they love Total War as much as you? No, they don't. Look, I've said this before. In 2023, they did the apology blog. Go on your live stream on YouTube or Twitch, Roger Cullum or any of the executives, and play Total War Warhammer for 1 hour on easy difficulty. Show people how much you love this game, right? Just on easy difficulty, okay? They won't do it because they don't want to play Total War. They wouldn't be caught dead doing it because they don't know how to play it. They've never played a Total War game in their life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's phony. It's just fucking phony as hell. So you just need to know who it is you're dealing with. They're trying to get you to lower your guard so that you trust them, so that you'll open your wallet to them so that they can take your fucking cash. But if they know that you don't trust them, they know that they can't do anti-consumer shit to you because you call them out every single fucking time. That's why it's important that we do this every single fucking time. That you don't give them any respite, you don't ever relent on them, because at the end of the day, the entire Total War fan base has to pay for $100 fucking million bill that is their fault, because that's how businesses work. They pass the expenses onto the customer. How else are they going to make the money back? Because Sega is definitely going to hold... They're not just going to forgive that debt. Come on. Anyone deluded enough to think that will never run a business. Okay, they're not going to forgive that debt. You know, I've heard that Creative Assembly basically has a noose around their neck until this is basically sorted. So, phony as fuck, basically. It also takes an army of professional and talented staff to take our games from concept to completion. Absolutely. The actual developers that make the, do the hard work and make these games and don't make the stupid friggin' decisions, they definitely do need to be congratulated, because these games couldn't be done without them. Absolutely. And they are, not all of them are fans of the game, and they don't have to be. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. All the artists, all the programmers, or one of the programmers probably, because, it hasn't had a new programmer in there for ages since we're running off the same engine. But anyway, I'm just joking. I've heard that they're so grounded in technical debt that it's actually a surprise that they can even get a functioning game out. And this can be seen in staff that have come out and spoken out about Creative Assembly, and in their Glassdoor review, saying that they're so riddled with technical debt, and yet the executives are so blind to it, and they just refuse to do anything about it. So again, it just falls so flat in the face that it's just bullshit. We were here. So many of them talk about growing up with Total War and how it gave them an interest in history and the deep lore of Warhammer, and how it created a desire for them to work at Creative Assembly. They're fans making the game that they love, and I want to thank each and every one of them, past and present, for their contribution to making this milestone possible. We hope you're excited for the future of Total War. That's the Strike 4, man! Okay, so this last bit here. If you really want people to believe that this is true, I mean, some people will just believe it anyway. Again, why are you being so mean to the executives? What have they ever done to you? They fucked up a lot of shit. Anyway, so if you really want people to believe this shit, it's time to start saying things and actually meaning it and taking accountability. So there's actually specific examples, and you don't have to take this one specifically, but if you want to get some degree of credibility back, don't just say it, do it. You have got a lot of staff that I've got some serious problems with what you've done in the past that are actually fans of Total War. And I think the best example of this is Julian McKinley. So many of you guys know him as basically the Rome 2 guy. Developer at Creative Assembly. I spoke to him a fair bit behind the scenes. He basically told me his side of the story with all this kind of stuff. It's absolutely disgusting what happened with Creative Assembly. Basically, they made a bunch of last-minute changes, which fucked up a lot of the work that he was working on. And so the game, in the things that he was focusing on, it got fucked up because it was the AI. Because they wanted to add a whole bunch of maps, like 4 times as many maps. And they had like very little time to actually sort that out. So they had to do it all after it was released. And he, of course, was put as the sort of the face of the advertising of Rome 2. And of course, when you've put anyone as the face of someone, when the game goes to shit, that's the person they blame. This is why Roger Cullum and Gareth Edmondson and any of the other fucking executive teams, they never show their face. Because the moment they fuck up, which they will fuck up again, people will go, him. That's the one who's at fault. They know this, which is why they put their, staff members that get paid pennies, that could probably earn more money working at McDonald's, essentially. They put their face in because every single one of them, as far as they're concerned, are replaceable. But it's actually the other way around. Roger Cullum and all of the executives are completely replaceable. They add no value whatsoever to the quality of these games. And these are the people that add the quality of the games. It's completely the other way around. Whenever the next fuck up happens, just understand that all anger needs to be directed to the leadership team, never to the actual developers. And that's where they went wrong with Julian McKinley. So again, if they want to say that they've changed and they're better now, first thing they can do, something they should have done 10 years ago, go and make amends to Julian McKinley. He's already done a huge thesis essentially on all this, which they completely fucking ignored. There were a couple of news articles that covered it, but didn't get anywhere, didn't really get much traction. In Creative Assembly, what they do is whenever there's any sort of public press, they don't address it, they just bury it. So if you want people who have been around, who have seen the bullshit side of you, to actually believe that any of these words are true, you have to go back and start making amends to all of the fucking skeletons you've got in the closet. All the people that you guys have stepped on and stomped on and shat on all throughout the years, including your own fucking founder as well. How about that? Your own fucking founder is someone that doesn't even want to talk to you. Again, maybe that would be my first priority to fix if that was the case. But yeah, that's something that they could do to help things, because you got a lot of people that have got gripes with you, and again, that's not the only case. I'm not going to list them all. We'll be here all fucking day. We're already here for an hour. But yeah, the point that I'm trying to make with all of this is that there's nothing wrong in the individual words. It's just fake. It's just a facade that's meant to use to lower your guard so that you will open your wallet when the time comes and be like, buy all of our stuff because we're good guys now. But they're the same shitheads they've always been until proven otherwise, and they haven't proven otherwise. Everything that they've done that's pro-consumer, they've been forced to do every step of the way, and they have to be pushed and shoved to do it. They don't ever just do it out of their own volition. So either just keep pushing them, or they can, prove that they're not the shit stains that I know them to be. And I would love nothing more for them to prove me wrong about all of this stuff. But they consistently prove me fucking right with this stuff. Because, just take this year, for example. In the previous year thank you video, it said, or it was even in the sorry video, blog, they said that they were going to do, more interaction with the community. And they've done less. It's been fucking silent. They don't do any of the things that they used to be able to do. So it's just words with no substance whatsoever. Nothing ever backs it up. And you just shouldn't trust a word of any of this. It's just like, what? It's just pointless drivel, basically, because it's so disingenuous. Anyway, before I start going too much around in circles, I think I've made my point. Overall, I'm excited for the 25th anniversary celebrations, for sure. And I congratulate every single one of the Creative Assembly staff members, past and present, for what they've done. I've been very critical of some of them in the past, and sometimes been unfairly, and I'm sorry for those times that I've been unfair to them. But I understand as well that you don't have much to work with, and you pull magic out of a hat somehow, and good on you for that. But yeah, I think that the leadership team is these games are succeeding in spite of them, not because of them, and I think they need to be constantly held into account. But again, it's entirely up to you if you want to do that. If you guys want to be like, "Oh, Legend, you're completely off base. Don't say mean things about Precious Roger Cullum or any of the other executives. They've got families to feed," or any of that bullshit as well. That's fine. If that's how you truly believe, call me out on it. If you think I'm off, I'd encourage you to call me out. Because if that's the thing, if the entire community is like, "No, Legend, you're wrong, and these are really good guys, be nice to them," I promise I'll just fucking stop. But I just don't feel like that is the case. I talk to you guys all the damn time, and so many of you guys are so fucking pissed off at their leadership, and I believe rightfully justified with it. And if I can every now and again take a swing at them, I'll do that, because honestly, I fucking enjoy it. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy what's coming, and I'll talk to you guys later. Later, guys.